But now, a new force has been waking up the echoes in South Bend. Troy Murphy, with his tenacious all-around game, has been tearing up college basketball and is proving to be one of the top players in the country. Together with first-year coach Mike Bray, the Irish are back in the top 25 and are looking to make their first trip back to the tournament in 11 years. Today, they travel to Bluegrass Country to take on Tubby Smith's Kentucky Wildcats, who are looking for their 6th straight win and hope their high-flying aerial show can take down the Irish next on CBS.
We welcome you to Rupp Arena in downtown Lexington, Kentucky for this intersectional battle. Notre Dame Fighting Irish against the Kentucky Wildcats. Good afternoon, everybody. Vern Lundquist along with Billy Packer. Third Notre Dame coach in 3 years, and Mike Bray got the job very late this summer.
Billy really did, and that set him back. But you can see what happened right here. Bill Guthridge stepped down at North Carolina. That opened things up for Matt Doherty, who did a terrific job in his one-year stint at Notre Dame. And Mike Bray, who had been interviewed earlier for the Notre Dame job, has got the controls right now at ND.
And he inherited an All-American, Troy Murphy.
Without question, we're talking about the Big East Player of the Year last year and a guy who's picked to be the Player of the Year this year. A prolific scorer. He can step outside and shoot. Works very well with his back to the basket and is an excellent rebounder, Vern.
Billy, Kentucky goes after win number 6 in a row today, but they got off to a really slow start this season.
Well, this is an extremely young team that Tubby Smith has out here, and you can take a look at it. St. John's, a game they should have won. UCLA overtime. Penn State, the Crispin brothers ate them up here. Georgia Tech, a surprise team. And then, of course, that one-point loss at Michigan State that they just as easily could have pulled out.
We'll return to Lexington, Rupp Arena for the tip-off. It's Notre Dame against Kentucky next.
CBS Sports coverage of the road to the Final Four is sponsored by Chevrolet. If only everything was as dependable as a Chevy, Chevy will be there. Budweiser, with the crisp, clean, refreshing taste.
Welcome back to Rupp Arena, the 55th time these two teams have met, but the first time since 96-97. Mike Bray, first year as the head coach at Notre Dame after 5 years at Delaware. And he will start Murphy, David Graves, and Ryan Humphrey. Graves having a homecoming to Lexington. Martin Inglesby and Matt Carroll, prolific three-point shooter in the backcourt. And for Tubby Smith, his 4th season as the Kentucky head coach, following years at Georgia and Tulsa, and his starting 5. This is the 6th game this smaller lineup has started, and they've won 5 in a row. Tayshaun Prince, Jason Parker, Fitch, Saul Smith, and Keith Bogans in the backcourt.
Vern, the biggest thing we're going to see between these two teams is one team has a very, very long bench. The other team does not, and that is Notre Dame. And see how Tubby tries to employ that bench early in this ball game.
Murphy wins the tip. Here's Martin Inglesby, who has it in their most recent game, a loss at Seton Hall last Monday night. The starters averaged 39 minutes, or 4 of the starters went 39 minutes more in that game. Humphrey, the only one who did not.
And Inglesby, who just had the ball, played 40.
Here's Graves looking inside. Ryan Humphrey muscles his way over Parker and gets the first basket.
Humphrey, the transfer from Oklahoma, posting up very nicely. Extremely quick, probably has an advantage quickness-wise on Parker.
Tayshaun Prince, top of the key. Bogans.
Matchup zone defense by Notre Dame.
Jason Parker guarded by Murphy in the low post.
Really packing things back down inside, giving up the 3.
There's the entry pass from Prince, and Parker misfires. Fitch with another rebound. He's a guard who made his first mark for Kentucky in the loss to Michigan State.
Those who have not seen Fitch play yet, keep your eye on that young man. We got our first glimpse of what we were eventually going to see for the rest of his career at Michigan State. It is unbelievable how he can get on the glass for a kid his size who doesn't have unbelievable leaping ability. He just has a nose for the ball.
6'3", 185, and that was his 51st rebound. Until that rebound, they've been divvied up. Here's Troy Murphy with his first basket of the game.
Very, very difficult shot. Taking it, fading away, turning against his body. I think he shocked Prince with that jumper.
Murphy averaging 24. He's the 4th leading scorer in the NCAA. Division I. Here's Parker. Nice move to his right. Doesn't get the roll.
He's got to finish those, Vern. He's getting very easy entrance passes into him. Nice job by Graves to give it up.
Gets it in the hands of Matt Carroll. Now Inglesby, the point guard, guarded by Saul Smith. Inglesby does a good job of protecting the ball.
Well, has the best assist turnover ratio of anybody in the Big East. #2 assist man in that league behind Omar Cook.
Long rebound in the hands of Bogans. Little jump stop back to Prince. Spots up for the three. Now kicks it right side to Saul Smith. Not a good shooter from outside.
Those shots are going to be available all day against this zone, but Kentucky has not been a Kentucky team of the past with a three-point shot is kind to them.
Bogans. Kentucky starts off 0 for 5. Here's Bogans, make it 0 for 6. And Humphrey up to grab the rebound for Notre Dame.
Well, there was a mismatch. Humphrey against Fitch. Just too big for him.
Early 4-0 Notre Dame lead. Inglesby. Off the screen, Murphy. Misses.
Set play, good release on the shot. Prince will take it to the hoop.
Murphy there decided not to go for the block and risked the foul.
Good job by Prince to challenge Murphy. Actually, you know, they list Murphy at 6'11". Prince is standing side by side with him, almost the same height.
Matt Carroll off the front rim. Offensive board goes to Ryan Humphrey.
Yesterday, Kentucky worked on blocking out in both one-on-one drills, 3-on-3 drills, and 5-on-5 drills. And Tubby Smith can't be happy with the lack of the rebound on that one.
Graves gets the screen. Homecoming, as we said. Lexington native. His mom and dad are here. Steve and Barbara Graves.
Kentucky only a 32% shooting team from three. But boy, if you're going to get Parker that wide open against the zone inside, no defensive pressure whatsoever by Murphy on 3 occasions, and Parker makes the first of 3.
Back-to-back baskets were tied at 4, 16:25 to go, early going. There's Graves. Looks for Humphrey, got him.
Good job by Humphrey, had the position set. Parker didn't know whether to play behind or go over the top. He went over the top, the lob was really there.
Now Gerald Fitch with the entry pass, and Carroll doubles down and grabs the foul.
Probably a pretty good move by Carroll, but once again, you can see that Parker is posting up against this zone that you ought to be able to blow this zone apart. Here he is again.
Rejected by Humphrey. Ryan Humphrey had 7 blocks in the loss to Seton Hall last Monday night. That was a 78-76.
Well, he comes from the weak side right here, and obviously Parker didn't know that he was over there. But what's going to happen if you can go inside that easily? And there was another opportunity to get the ball to Parker. They're going to be 15-foot jump shots available. Here comes one right here for Fitch.
Bogans. Prince. Off the rim. And Humphrey clears it.
Boy, there you see weak side rebounding. Humphrey over there, just too big for Fitch, who wants to get on the glass, but he's given up about 4 inches.
Inglesby penetrates, and the foul is going to be called before the shot on Saul Smith.
I think that we're going to see a move quickly by Tubby Smith to get some shooting on the floor. He's got wide open looks.
Well, his team is off to a 2 for 10 start from the field. Cold shooting Kentucky team. Excuse me, Bill.
Right, I'm sorry, Brent. Normally you get guards and call them the guys that are the problems when a team does not get back on defense. But watch what happens to Murphy. He's going to come out of here to shoot. Prince will run right by him. Murphy has got to be the one to get back for defensive balance. When he doesn't, easy basket for Kentucky. Look at this. Murphy stands and observes. Ball goes right over his head. He has to recognize where the man guarding him went to.
Now here's Carroll for Notre Dame.
Kentucky now back in a zone of their own. I think that favors Notre Dame.
Fadeaway jumper, Matt Carroll. He is a good shooter.
I think it slows the pace of the game down. Notre Dame, a good team from shooting from the outside. They've got a lot of guys that like that look, Carroll certainly being one of them. So I think that's an advantage Notre Dame if Kentucky goes zone.
Fitch not on the floor for his shooting prowess.
This young Kentucky team has got to recognize what's being given to them, and that is throwing the ball inside to Parker with quick hitouts.
There's Humphrey. Off the front rim, Saul Smith, the only senior on the squad, clears it. Kicks it left side, Bogans. Takes the jumper, 2 for 12 now.
There's Fitch with an offensive rebound.
That's another one. That's his second in the game. Tubby Smith telling us yesterday he's the toughest guy he's got on the floor. Tomorrow, the final piece of the Super Bowl puzzle falls into place at the AFC Championship. Ray Lewis and the Baltimore Ravens, that vaunted defense, go out to Oakland to take on the Oakland Raiders and Rich Gannon. And it begins with the NFL Today tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern Time from Oakland.
Blevins in the game, Stone in the game. Blevins, good outside shooter, and he's going to get a lot of looks. Bad pass.
Kentucky turnover. Here's Carroll. Off the rim, the tip from Murphy. Beautiful. Wow.
Got a nice soft touch, doesn't he? Actually, didn't even leave the ground on that one. Just took up good space. Kentucky fans getting a little nervous here.
They're frigid.
Blevins just has to find a spot. He'll get a lot of good looks here. Another bad pass.
Tries to find Prince, knocked away by Murphy. Here comes Notre Dame up by 6. Back to Murphy.
This is a team, as you said, Vern, the guys know the starting guys know they're going to play a lot of minutes, so they're very patient on the floor. They really conserve energy well.
Knocked in the corner after the missed shot. Saul Smith tries to get by Inglesby, kicks it in the corner. Now Prince. Pitch looks for Prince in the low post.
Steps.
Travel.
Kentucky trying to make this game more difficult than it needs to be. Here's Murphy on that tip before. Look at the good space he got in between he and the defenders, and a nice soft touch. There he is, just holding him off, tapping it with that left hand of his.
Now full court pressure applied by Kentucky. Harold Swanigan is off the bench. He is the first man in, was a starter, lays that screen, and that frees David Graves off the glass and in.
Good soft shooting touch by Graves. You know what a thrill it's got to be for him to come home and play in front of the Cats. His dad, an architect, designed some of Memorial Coliseum. Designed, I found out this morning, some of Rick Pitino's home.
Right. There's another rebound by Carroll.
Carroll pushed.
Matt
Stone
Carroll
running the basket.
David Graves in his homecoming appearance got a little anxious that time. His mom and dad are here. They hosted the entire Notre Dame traveling contingent, about 30 all, last night at their lovely home here in Lexington.
Well, that was a little better than what some kids do when they to their mom. Their mom said, hey, I want to invite all the guys over. Sometimes the guys say, I'm going to bring a couple of guys over. About 14 guys, the priest, the coaching staff, and everybody else. Isn't it amazing? What was there early in the game? Just dump downs inside. Now Notre Dame has adjusted. Kentucky has not.
That one out of bounds off Kentucky. Eric Daniels is on the floor now. We should set the 5 who are on the floor for Tubby Smith. You've got J.P. Blevins, Daniels, Saul Smith. Marquise Estel is also on the floor.
I think Estel is the guy that could have a big game here. If he'll post up at the top of the key, because he's an excellent jump shooter, baseline drive, hold by Stone.
Marvin Stone, who started this year as a starter, became disenchanted with his lack of playing time, had a couple of academic difficulties, and thought about going home for Christmas and staying there, but Tubby Smith talked him into finishing out the year here, and so he is committed to do that.
Hopefully finish out his career.
Yes, right.
See Notre Dame pulling things out to create more space for Murphy. No!
Torian Jones, a true freshman, with the cut and the pass.
Tubby Smith must be wondering, what am I looking at? Yesterday, his team was so intense defensively. Today, looks like they're standing still. That's what's available.
He traveled. 5 Kentucky turnovers.
Everybody looking at the All-American, and he's looking at a teammate for an easy dish. Well, stargazing may be something that's good in Hollywood. Look at all the Kentucky players looking at Troy Murphy. Now that leaves a wide open void in here. And what happens? Pretty easy. Watch them. They're all looking. We got him. We got Murphy. We got all 5 of us. Got him. Guess what? Here comes another player. Nobody even saw him coming. One of the things yesterday Tubby Smith did time and time again was stop practice and say to his guys, you got to see the ball and your man. Anticipate where somebody's going to come from and where they're trying to go. Today, his team seems to be in a 5.
Inglesby inbounds it to Swanigan. Here comes Torian Jones.
4 different players, Vern, on the floor that were in that starting lineup. And that's what we said at the top of the show. One of the things that Tubby does have the advantage in doing is really go to that bench. Now, can they deliver?
Ball will be Notre Dame's to inbound. Well, this is the 25th year, not that this game is in the sack by any means, but the 25th year at Rupp Arena, and Kentucky has won 90% of its home games. They did lose to Penn State here in their home opener this year, which caused shockwaves throughout the state.
Northwestern State beat an Eddie Sutton team in the home opener.
Louisiana scored, right?
Yeah. Good look that time for Inglesby. Can't get it to come down. Hawkins, who's a guy sometimes that brings great energy to the game offensively. There it is. Good pass.
Estel.
I like this lineup that's on the floor right now for Kentucky.
First basket in 6 minutes. Here's Murphy. Fake. On the floor. Traveled.
A lot more energy we're seeing with this lineup than the starting lineup.
Follow all the NCAA conference action from the Big East to the SEC now through March Madness. Only at the Internet's home of college basketball. CBS.sportsline.com or AOL keyword CBS Sportsline.
Fred, one of the things out here right now, Estel is an excellent offensive player and Stone is a good passer. So you might see a lot of high-low against this zone. Those two guys could really operate effectively.
Now Blevins. Cliff Hawkins has also come in off the bench, another true freshman, number 1. He's got the ball in his hands now. There's the pass to Estel. Off the front rim, Murphy. Knocked away by Daniels. Save. Here's Hawkins. Freshman to freshman. Medliner. Got it.
He brings a lot of energy to the table, that young man. And the North Carolina game was the guy that gave the shockwave where Kentucky put away the Tar Heels. Gets the fans really into it. Clock didn't operate. Shot clock did not move, so the officials stopped action here. Mike Gray can sense, he's working these officials, he can sense that Kentucky has a team on the floor that's ready to go after him. Now if you're Notre Dame, what you have to do now is to say, okay, Murphy, slow the Cats down.
Right.
I mean, he's your go-to guy, and you can expect him to get some touches here in the next couple of minutes.
Now your mention of Northwest Louisiana brings the parenthetical remark that that's where Mike Bray played 3 years of college ball.
Transferred up to GW.
Right.
He led them actually in assists for 3 years down there.
Natchitoches, Louisiana. Bray, who grew up in Rockville, Maryland, and played high school ball. Legendary DeMatha. Morgan Wood.
There's a turnover by Notre Dame. Forward, that ball is not in Inglesby's hands. It's a different kind of basketball team.
Daniels will inbounds now and puts it in the hands of Cliff Hawkins. Battles asthma, and there's the steal from Swanigan on the floor, held ball, possession Notre Dame, watch out.
I don't know why Hawkins jumped on Swanigan, just went down on the floor. It was a good clean play. Good job by the officials here to call a foul on no one. Just a held ball situation and set it the other way. What they're wondering right now, were there any punches thrown? And they may have to take a look at this. And I think that's what that conversation was all about. See, right at this point anyway, it's just hard-nosed play, and then all of a sudden, little action take place afterwards, and what they're going to look at to see if were there any punches thrown. Hopefully not, because you don't want to see anybody in that kind of a fray get thrown out.
Curtis Shaw is over there looking at the replay right now.
At this point, it's all just good hustle. And Hawkins comes in there. I didn't really see any punch.
I didn't either, Bill.
I just hope, the guys are just a little fired up there. It's a steal initially, and Stone jumps back in and re-steals. Then a tie-up situation, and there's Hawkins down on the pile. Just, you know, I would consider that a punch. As a matter of fact, I think the best situation right now is to just say, let's follow the arrow and go down the road.
Yep. Couple of enthusiastic elbows, but no closed fists.
Yep.
Number 42, Harold Swanigan of Notre Dame, and number 24, Marvin Stone of Kentucky, have both been assessed.
Swanigan and Stone assess technicals, no shots.
Personal foul for each and a team foul for the Cats.
So each one will get a T and a personal. And he's going to say, whose ball was it? I thought that Notre Dame would get the ball. And that is going to be the case.
That's it. So play about to resume with 10:17 to go. Notre Dame still up by 6.
And the guy that really caused the problem was Hawkins. He gets nothing.
Right. Now Torian Jones guarded by Hawkins. That's freshman on freshman.
But see how much the game changes when Kentucky comes out and pressures half court as opposed to going to that zone that was passing. Good double team. Hawkins going all over the place.
Yep. Now he chases down Inglesby, who kicks it out. Matt Carroll, penetration, clean block Hawkins. Here comes Tayshaun Prince, 4-on-2. All the way, solo. Estel puts it back and got it.
Whole different feeling on the floor right now for Kentucky. Hawkins has been the man. And if you're Inglesby, you're a senior, slow things down, try to give Murphy a touch. Good timeout here by Mike Gray, realizing what's happened. One official called it, that will be no basket.
No basket.
The other officials did not hear the noise.
Tim Higgins saw Bray ask for the timeout, and it will be a timeout. Notre Dame, 9:29 to go first half. Irish by 4. More than 23,000 here, some prettier than others. 14-10. Well, last week we talked about the 6 undefeated teams.
Well, we're back to 2 right now. We, of course, saw one of them in Stanford. Very impressive with the win over Arizona. Georgetown, Craig Esterick really doing a job with that basketball team. And they're leading again today. 14-0 are both of them.
Georgetown with an early lead over Virginia Tech in their Big East encounter. 14-0 for the year, 20-4 in the game in the early going. Now let's...
Again, look at the intensity that's changed with Hawkins into the ball game. He and Blevins putting a lot of pressure out.
There's Graves guarded by Eric Daniels. Carroll top of the key now.
They have Prince on Murphy. Murphy'd like to get him posted up low.
Prince tries to front him. That ball knocked into the hands of Prince. He finds Hawkins. Hawkins dishes. Eric Daniels for 2.
This whole game is about Hawkins. The young man has asthma, so he can't go for long stretches. And look at the energy that he has put into this team and to this crowd.
Tubby Smith said he's good for about 3 minutes on the floor. High energy, then he has to rest, regather himself.
He's breathing very heavily now. And ought to be.
Yeah.
With or without asthma. He has really put some life into this ball club.
Now Daniels, another freshman. This young Kentucky team. Alley-oop.
Beautiful pass inside.
Murphy clears it, puts it in the hands of Martin Inglesby. 8:34 to go. First half of play.
That's about the 5th time Kentucky has missed one from about 4 feet. Push off offensively. Inglesby, a cool customer out there. His dad was a member of that outstanding Villanova team that went to the Final Four, lost to UCLA. You see the push off here. Pretty easy call to make right out in front of the referee.
They had a chance for Kentucky to tie or take the lead. Here's Blevins for 3. That's for the lead.
Beautiful follow through. I really like what Tubby Smith has done here today in his substitutions. He didn't hesitate at all. went right to this lineup that provided the energy.
J.P. Plevins started this season 1 for his first 13. He's now hit 7 of his last 11 from downtown.
Now watch the follow through on that shot. Excellent rotation, nice soft. He's got the look and he stays right with it. Murphy started the game with a similar shot.
Gets his own follow, goes baseline. No. Prince for Kentucky.
Probably forced that second one. Murphy can get better looks.
Hawkins dishes to Daniels. Murphy's there defensively. No call. But the putback is good.
There's Prince putting it back up. And you can see the frenetic style right here. Mike Gray has to call his second timeout to try to take this crowd out of the game.
A 13-0 Kentucky run. This youngster has a name. He's James Monroe. He's a freshman. I don't know how long it takes him to put it on, but he tells us it's 2 hours to get clean again.
Don't want him in my dorm room, I can tell you that.
God, he hates back-to-back games. There's the long pass for Graves. Estel is there. Nice play by Graves.
Kind of surprising when you have a team making a run like this and the score, you find yourself behind. That's not a wise pass.
Another time called. 7:34 to go first half. Their first 13 found themselves down by 10, but they've scored 13 unanswered and they are up by 3. Turnovers 8 and 7. And Billy, I know you're really admiring the substitution pattern that Tubby Smith has had.
Well, he has at his disposal a much deeper bench than does Notre Dame. Mike Gray really has nowhere to go, maybe a 6-man situation. But Tubby has got a lot of guys on that bench, although inexperienced, bring a lot of energy to the game. And Hawkins has been the one that I have seen on numerous occasions. If the young man were completely healthy, you could figure him playing 25 minutes a ball game. But right now he can come in for those 4 or 5 minute stretches and really do an incredible job.
Well, Tayshaun Prince is the only starter who's out there for Kentucky right now. It's Hawkins and Blevins.
They go back to the zone surprisingly.
Right.
Gives Murphy and Inglesby an opportunity to find some holes here. Carroll, Graves, both good shooters from the wings.
Jumper, good. Ryan Humphrey.
I don't think we'll see much of that zone. It really plays into Notre Dame's hands.
Lead is 1.
Sometimes coaches like to come out of timeout situation, play a different defense, but it's not in Kentucky's best interest to be out of that, anything of that aggressive man-to-man.
Humphrey with another rebound. He had 15 last Monday night.
Estel got hit. He's down.
Entering timeout, second up on the play for Kentucky, number 50,
Marquise Estel.
Parker going to come in for him. He takes quite a shot here.
That's a replay that hurts all of us.
Yep. That won't put you down for a while. And this really hurts Kentucky in 2 ways. He was off to an excellent start. He's got good hands inside. He can step out and shoot the jumper. And as these guys will have more experience, they'll realize what that defense is doing. Estel's a guy that can stand at the top of the key and make things very difficult for his zone because he's got the size, he's got the range on his shot. He's a pretty good passer dumping it inside.
With the conclusion of today's game, we'll select the Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the game from each team. Chevrolet will make a contribution to each school's general scholarship fund. That a tradition for 30 years. Marquise Estel walks off unaided. And
the SEC Player of the Week after that outstanding performance he had against the University of North Carolina, where he was our MVP of the game.
Estel in that road win for Kentucky with 19 points and 11 rebounds, supplemented with 4 block shots. Now Inglesby guarded by Hawkins. Still a high-energy defender. There's Prince. Murphy got loose, misses it, misses the putback.
You won't see that often.
Wow, point-blank range.
Good hustle by Humphrey.
Long rebound. Taken by Jason Parker. Blevins. Parker in the low post. Got great position. There's a foul call.
But the ball is going inside so easily against that zone. Now Parker's recognizing, probably sitting over there. Here's Murphy. I'll guarantee you, in his career, you won't see him miss two from that range very often.
Troy Murphy had 27 the other night, or 25, but he hit only 9 of 25. And off to a slow shooting start here. He's 2 of 8.
Well, he has 14 30-point games in his career, so I think we'll see him heat up a little bit as he recognizes and kind of slows this Kentucky defense down a little bit.
Now Parker misses the first. 1 of 2 this trip. It's a 2-point Kentucky lead with 6:12 to go before the break.
Kentucky has been a very poor free throw shooting team. You like to press a lot, so you want to make those free throws so you can set up your press.
Inglesby, there's Graves. That's kicked, fresh 35, and out of bounds for Notre Dame.
Good switch by Daniels and Hawkins. Making nothing easy for Notre Dame when they're in that aggressive man-to-man defense.
Back to Murphy. He's not afraid of the three. Nor is Matt Carroll, who hits 54% for the season, but misfires on that one. It will be Irish ball.
Carroll, the leading percentage three-point shooter in the Big East. He's got good size to get it off. 2 times PA Player of the Year. Good-looking prospect.
Notre Dame has yet to convert a three-pointer. There's Graves in and out there. 0 for 7 now.
I think Notre Dame would be wise to go ahead back inside the Murphy sub. Parker is too anxious.
Yep.
What happens here is that Murphy in that 2-3 zone plays right down underneath the basket. So Parker sets up, gets the ball easily, but he's just too anxious to try to convert right away. That'll come with experience.
Tubby Smith goes back to his bench. There's the tip from Murphy. It's good.
No block out by Parker.
Gerald Fitch, who started the game, is back on the floor. Parker underneath, clean block.
Beautiful block by Graves.
And here's Graves trying to lead the break. Tipped out of bounds from behind.
There's a good drive by Inglesby. Almost got it to go, but there's a no block out on Murphy. Good job getting inside. EG just beats Prince and Parker to the ball.
Entry pass to Murphy from Carroll. Skip it over to Braves. Got it. There's the three-pointer, first of the afternoon, for the young man who grew up in Lexington and played at Lexington Catholic High School.
I would like to see the percentage of points that have been scored against Kentucky's zone as opposed to the aggressive man-to-man.
The answer from Gerald Fitch.
In both cases, excellent skip passing by both Notre Dame and Kentucky to set up those threes.
Tied at 21 with 4.5 to go. Here's Graves again. Yes, indeed. I can always hear his mom and dad behind us. Mixed emotions. They're both Kentucky grads. I don't think the emotions are mixed today.
Parker again just too anxious. He's got the ball 6 feet from the basket. He might even be wise to turn and face on Murphy and see if he can draw some fouls on him.
Now Murphy. Double team comes from Hawkins. And Prince with a clean block.
Prince, although listed at the same height as Murphy, has long, long arms and plays like a 7-footer. Quick shot.
That one went in. Murphy tipped it in.
I think they're going to credit Parker with the basket.
But I believe that was off the hands of Troy Murphy. Well, talk about Tayshaun Prince. His wingspan is listed as 7 feet. Here's Carroll. No. Rebound. That's 8 rebounds now for Troy Murphy, who is averaging this season a double-double. He averages 10 per game.
Timeout on the floor.
That one goes Kentucky way. Rupp Arena, where Notre Dame leads Kentucky 24-23. There are 7 national championship banners hanging in this hall. One of them earned in 1978. Kentucky. Billy, you broadcast this game. What do you remember?
Well, you can't forget Jack Givens had a sensational game taking on Duke, but you can also think of the history of the combinations in that Final Four. Eddie Sutton was there with Arkansas. He eventually came to Kentucky. Bill Foster was at Duke at that particular time, and Notre Dame with Digger Phelps was the other team in the Final Four. And about that particular team, Vern, they were expected to win the national championship from the start of the season. Much like the team, let's say, that Rick Pitino had in '96 that won the national championship. The difference was I never felt that team really enjoyed the season. There was so much pressure on them. I thought the club in '96 that Rick Pitino took to the national championship just had a much better feel for it. Both were extremely talented.
And then, of course, to complete the 7 in 1998, Tubby Smith's first year. Wildcats won. Here's Prince with another takeaway and a chance for the Kentucky lead again. Bogans is scoreless so far.
Well, I think this is a nice move also by Tubby Smith. Get Bogans into the ball game, get him some touches before the half ends to get him in the feel of the game. He's your leading scorer. There it is. Yep. Nice piece of coaching there.
Averaging 16, bothered by a bad right ankle. He sat out much of the practice yesterday. Injured the ankle against Georgia and then re-aggravated it against South Carolina. Here's Graves.
Thought Fitch would double down inside on that.
Humphrey wasn't ready for the pass from Murphy. That's for 3, no. And Estel back on the floor, grabs the rebound. Bogans in the corner. Smith will get it to Prince instead.
Estel now posted up, and you notice how Murphy gives that entry pass lane always.
Back-to-back Bogans baskets.
Well, you have a DeMatha man coaching Notre Dame and a DeMatha man lighting him up for Kentucky. And of course, the greatest Notre Dame player, Adrian Dantley, was a guy that came from DeMatha as well.
That's Graves off the mark. Bogans from DeMatha. Clears it. Adrian Dantley, the last Notre Dame All-American, 1976, until the emergence of Troy Murphy as an All-American last year. Now Prince likes that shot.
Nice movement by Prince to come meet the ball against that zone. A lot of holes in that zone right now. Mike Gray at halftime may have to make some alterations.
Another Kentucky run. This one 9 unanswered. Humphrey goes up and under. Estel there to block it.
Asking a lot for guys to play 36 minutes against a team this deep. Boy, is that another timeout by Notre Dame?
Yes, it is. 9-point Kentucky lead after Finch and the three-pointer. Listed in this week's top 25, they did lose last Monday, and a loss here would surely knock them out, but they are one of 6 Big East teams in the top 25.
Very solid league. Some crazy things going on there today. Connecticut loses to Providence. BC still alive up there, surprising a lot of people. Probably the biggest surprise in that entire league. And then, of course, Georgetown, who people thought was going to be a pretty good club, really bearing down on Virginia Tech today. It looks like they're going to keep that unbeaten streak alive.
And Pittsburgh knocked off Seton Hall this afternoon in Pennsylvania. Carroll. Here's Inglesby. He's got Humphrey right side settled for Troy Murphy. 1 minute to go, first half.
Murphy stepping out. You can see Notre Dame just wanting to slow this game down. They cannot afford to get in a run-shoot game with Kentucky. Even though they're pretty high-scoring teams, they scored their points against rather weak opponents.
Graves hassled. That basket will not count. There is a foul before the shot. Eric Daniels with the foul. Tuesday on America's #1 action drama, Jag. David James Elliott defends a drill sergeant who admits to killing 2 of his own men. Catherine Bell co-stars on an all-new episode of Jag Tuesday on CBS.
Of course, Graves came on the scene last year. Buzzer beaters at Ohio State and Seton Hall. Shocked everybody when they opened up the NIT preseason by going to Ohio State, a team that had come off a Final Four appearance, and everybody expected to be real strong. Notre Dame came up with a big win in Matt Doherty's opener.
David Graves said he did not grow up aspiring to play for the Wildcats. They did offer him a walk-on scholarship here at Kentucky, but he said he really had his eyes set on Notre Dame quite some time.
Well, his mom and dad both went to Kentucky, so I wonder where he got brainwashed in another way. Maybe tired of all that glue in the living room.
It was a well-designed living room. They have the architect. Now Graves.
Oh, out of bounds. He hit the back of the backboard. Everything going wrong right now for Notre Dame. They have got to be very aware of how important that ball possession is to them.
That's a doink and a turnover. Time called. This, the 20th season, we have been your escorts on the road to the Final Four. We do so again, and part of that road this afternoon, the second game of our doubleheader, Villanova at UCLA or Arkansas Vanderbilt.
See that circle right there? Michael Bradley, number 2 scorer in the Big East. You know where everybody thought he'd be playing?
I do know.
Right here at Kentucky. Transferred from Kentucky to Villanova, and now trails only Troy Murphy as the leading scorer in that league. And a guy that Tubby Smith certainly had looked forward to coaching here at Kentucky.
Ryan Hogan, another man who transferred out of this program, playing at Iowa now.
Had a pretty good game in Iowa's big win the other night against Illinois.
That one is off to Notre Dame and will be Kentucky's with 6.4 to go.
Shot clock off. You want to set a rubbing screen for Bogans if you could right here, or maybe something inside to Estel.
Prince.
Take too long.
Puts it on the floor. Graves goes for it. Fitch. And the buzzer sounds with the shot not going through.
Not very well designed 6 seconds by Kentucky. Prince should have got rid of that ball and set up Bogans for the shot.
At one point, Notre Dame led by 10. At the half, they trail by 9. That's the end of the first half with the score. Kentucky 33, Notre Dame 26. Now, let's go to Jim Nantz in Oakland.
Jim Nantz here in Oakland, side of
NCAA men's basketball will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
Final Four is sponsored by Hershey's. Be sure to check out the Hershey's $1 Million Kick during the Super Bowl Sunday pregame show on CBS.
Rupp Arena, downtown Lexington, and the Kentucky Wildcats up by 7. Just to continue with the theme, Billy, they got great play off the bench in the first half.
They really did. Not only excellent performance statistically, but they set the pace of the game, particularly Hawkins when he came in there. We'll notice on the telestrator right here now, look at how Kentucky has surrounded this zone. Only one man down on the inside, and they'll throw the ball from side to side with the skip passing, eventually setting up Tayshaun Prince for a nice jump shot. Ball goes, rotates, skipped, and there's Prince. Jumper in good rotation. Kentucky was very, very good at doing that against that Notre Dame zone once they came out of their funk where they found themselves down 14-4 to start this game.
That the result of a very poor shooting effort out of the gate. They hit 2 of their first 13, but they're up by 7 now as we're underway. Parker kicks it out in the corner to Bogans for 3. Touched last by Notre Dame.
I like what Parker did that time. They're getting the entry pass into him. Remember the first half, he'd catch it and try to do something very quickly. That time he made his move and then hit out. Those jump shots will be available.
Tubby Smith with his starting 5 back on the floor. That includes two true freshmen. Here's one of them.
Beautiful move. You can tell that he got some instruction at halftime. That was there in the first half. He just was impatient.
Lead is 9. Here's Carroll. This is the first time since 1988 that Kentucky has had 2 true freshmen on the starting 5. Carroll and a whistle away from the ball.
There's a hold on the inside I think it was Humphrey cutting to the basket. Prince grabbed a hold of it. And you know, for Murphy in this first half, he only had 6 points. That's the second lowest halftime total he's had this year. Had 5 in the losing cause against Indiana.
His first, team first.
Graves gets the inbound pass. He's the only man in double figures. He has 10 points. Now Inglesby guarded by Smith. Murphy outside. Humphrey puts it on the floor. Misses. Fitch with another rebound. 6-3. And another rebound for Gerald Fitch. That's 3 in the game.
Parker's still open on the inside. They got to make Murphy play him.
There's Fitch and Smith.
There's Parker.
Double, and it's kicked outside to Smith. Offensive board. Bogans, who catches a heel on the head inadvertently.
Now Bogans threw an elbow there. It was unnecessary because Humphrey came over him in an athletic move, but I don't think one designed to hurt him at all. Bogans threw an elbow, and there's a technical foul called here. You're going to watch this. Now there was Humphrey. He didn't mean to do anything there, but now watch what Bogans is going to do, and he's going to get caught throwing the elbow. The official was right there watching it. It was totally unnecessary by Bogans because there you see that elbow thrown, and he gets called for it.
Only the 8th free throw attempted this year by the point guard, Martin Inglesby. That's number 9. He's hit 8 of his 9 attempts this year. And one more look at this elbow thrown by Bogans.
See, Humphrey just happened to get caught in a very unusual position. That elbow that Bogans came down with was totally unnecessary.
Personal foul was called on Humphrey, and the technical on Bogans. Back outside to Smith. He'll pass on the 3, kick it right. There's the return from Fitch and the three-pointer.
Now we saw that all day yesterday. Good penetration, kick out, great hustle by Saul Smith.
Bogans, tip no good, and a foul call.
Bogans has come out here with passion in his heart. He is fired up. Both he and Saul Smith missed a day of practice 2 days ago. One with a knee, one with an ankle. But they came out with some hustle there.
Bogans at the line. Saul Smith, the only senior, of course, Tubby Smith's second son. And you almost want to add, when you talk about Saul Smith, much maligned Saul Smith. But Billy Reed, the longtime columnist for the Lexington Herald-Leader, had a really terrific column about what a fine young man Saul Smith is and how this sometimes critical mass here at Kentucky needs to embrace him in his final year.
Well, unless you're a superstar, it's hard being a son of a coach. They had one in this league by the name of Press and Pete Maravich combination, but it's kind of tough. Eddie Sutton and Sean went through some of the same stuff.
That ball put up by Murphy. Now it's on the floor, and a held ball, possession arrow, will go toward Notre Dame. Tonight on CBS, Washington, D.C.'s police chief has a controversial new plan to stop crime. But will it destroy his officers' morale? Craig T. Nelson stars in The District tonight on CBS.
That ball possession goes to the Irish.
That was the first time we had a scrum today where somebody didn't come up with a foul. Holding on the inside. Parker against Murphy.
Now they call it on Bogans. Tim Higgins said he grabbed his pants. Can't do it. Inbound to Humphrey. 11-point Kentucky lead.
They're playing that zone now.
Way outside Carroll.
And what has happened when they go into the zone? Notre Dame is satisfied to just shoot perimeter jump shots, keep their eye off Murphy completely. I think if you got a star of his caliber with only 6 points, you got to get him some touches here in the second half.
Right side, Graves pulls up, takes the jumper over Smith. No.
Whoa, what
a rebound by Matt Carroll.
Some putback.
Wow.
It's not the way you design a fast break, but it worked out all right.
Here's Fitch. Blocked out of bounds by Graves. Take another look at this rebound and putback.
Well, Graves had the jumper. Then Carroll, who was following as a trailer, instead of getting the pass, just made a great catch and put it back in there for 2.
Lead is 9 for Kentucky, 16:43 to go.
Nice screen by Prince.
Graves. Humphrey out on the break. Gets it. Spins back to Murphy. Got it. 8 points.
Bad transition defense that time by Kentucky, not picking up anybody.
Now Murphy putting a bit more of a body on Jason Parker. And a foul will be called. Let's see who they get, Carroll or Inglesby.
I think it's going to be Carroll on the reach-in.
His second. Mike Bray's team down by 7 at the break, and they're still down by 7.
Well, he knows that he's got to keep the starting 5 on the floor, and so he just hopes Hawkins doesn't get back out there anytime soon to set up the tempo. Push on the inside. We've now gone about 4 minutes. Kentucky stayed with the same 5. I think we're about 30 seconds away from seeing a change.
That was a 3-second violation as we near the 16-minute mark. And Graves picked up by Bogans. Here comes the first man off the bench. It'll be Marvin Stone.
Stone probably taking Parker's spot right here.
Time call, 15:56 to go. Arena during the halftime break, a special presentation made here to C.M. Newton, the retired athletic director at the University of Kentucky, awarded the Naismith Good Sportsmanship Award. I think all of us who know C.M. Newton would concur that he deserves a Good Sportsmanship Award. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you, Vern. Billy, you are too much.
Well, C.M., not only this, but the Hall of Fame induction, I think all of us who love the game of basketball are dedicated to you and all that you have done for the game on so many different areas. Not only coaching, but all the hours you have given in regard to international play, NCAA play, and all the things that you've done for the game. It just, what a great honor for you.
I'll tell you, coming from you, that means a lot to me, Billy. And you know, I've been so blessed, and this has been such a wonderful, crazy year to me to get all these awards, and I'm just very excited and very good to have you guys in Lexington.
Thank you, CM, and you enjoy the next 3 weeks down in the Bahamas.
I'm going to be in the Bahamas, and I'll enjoy it, and I'll be watching you all.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, CM Newton, whose roots go back here at Kentucky to the 1951 National Championship team. He was a member of that great ball club. I hate to bring this up, but he didn't score a point in the championship game of victory over Kansas State. They had some pretty good players.
Yeah, they really did. I talked to some guys today. I talked to Wawa Jones before this ball game today. Of course, he was a member of that great 48 team that not only won the national championship, but was part of the Olympic gold medal team.
Smith, no. Position for the rebound, no. Prince gets the follow.
Boy, there are those long arms. Yep. And Kentucky doing a good job spreading this court out and making the starting 5 of Notre Dame work so hard. Murphy, offensive. Saul Smith picked up a cheap one on Murphy. Murphy getting a little bit frustrated. And here's weak side help by Saul Smith coming over and getting in position and just giving up his body. I really thought it was probably a pretty good no call, though, on the play.
Well, here's the dilemma confronting Mike Bray. They've got 15-13 to go in the game. His star's got 3 fouls. He's got no choice.
Well, what if you're Kentucky right now, Estill in the ball game, go down and make Murphy guard somebody. You know, he's not the kind of guy that wants to go ahead and have to play hard-nosed defense, particularly with 3 fouls. Kentucky has got to be aware of that and go inside.
Now he fronts Estill. There's the screen set, trying to free up Fitch. Smith, 10 on the shot clock.
It's caught in the switch.
Yep. Rebound, Inglesby. 41-34, 7-point margin.
You know, when you look at Notre Dame, you think of the Big East, they really are going to have it kind of tough trying to play just these 5 guys. Not much else they can do, but they've got to figure out a way to get some minutes off that bench.
Here's Humphrey, puts it on the floor, and a foul call as the turnover occurred. Inglesby. Sunday on CBS, Pierce Brosnan as Agent 007 in the biggest Bond movie ever. Terry Hatcher co-stars in the network premiere of Tomorrow Never Dies, Sunday on CBS.
There's a case again where Prince's arms are just so long that he was able to reach right around Murphy and slap that ball away. Guys underestimate that reach.
Estel works on Murphy. Shot is short. The rebound for Ryan Humphrey.
See, Estel should not try to avoid contact in there with Murphy now. There was a perfect chance to pick up the 4th foul.
Mike Bray's going to make a move to his bench. The 2 guys who do play off that bench, Swanigan and Torian Jones, getting ready to come on. Here's Murphy, still in single digits. Humphrey with the put. Got it. Whoa, boy.
Boy, has he put on some shows here today with some leaping and some power plays, giving up his body.
Ryan Humphrey, 10 rebounds now. 8 points. So he's a basket away from another double-double. As Murphy continues to struggle.
Here's where Estel doesn't really have the experience to know what to do. There's another block by Humphrey. Just a sensational play, but Estel doesn't realize he's got to put pressure on Murphy.
Graves, no. Humphrey can't control it. Out of bounds. Off Saul Smith.
Ball goes up, and here is Humphrey with some kind of play. There are those that may say, hey, he grabbed the rim before the ball went in and pulled on it, but he still got credit for the basket.
5-point game. Humphrey rests. Inglesby for 3.
Now here, if you're Notre Dame, you've got this thing back to a 2-point basketball game by slowing down tempo. But guess who's in the ball game? Hawkins.
Here's Prince on the floor over Murphy. The follow is good. Hawkins.
He is just instantaneous action. Shot goes up. Murphy's looking. He allows Hawkins to come right around him. No block out by Murphy. And Hawkins takes advantage of it. Look at this. No block out. Murphy looking. Hawkins just beats him to the spot.
Three-point play.
That was a huge three-point play because Notre Dame wanted to keep this game down. Found himself just down 2. If they had gotten a stop there, they're in a great position.
Here's Murphy. They triple him. Goes up. Blocked by Estel. Foul. Murphy goes to the line. He is really fighting it today.
Well, what I do like about him, though, is his composure out there. He doesn't look facially. He's not giving any facial or body language that gives you any feeling that he's frustrated. And that time he was triple teamed, particularly with the size in the ball game. Is having a hard time getting it off inside.
There he is, 4th in the country in scoring with that average of 24. Only 8 today. He's only been held to single digits once in his career, which is now in its 3rd year.
Now, when you think of the great tradition of outstanding players in the Big East, he's the first guy ever to lead that conference in scoring and rebounding in both regular season and conference play in a given year. Now, we're talking about a lot of great players.
Born and raised in Sparta, New Jersey, his mom now lives in Scottsdale, Christine Murphy, and she is here watching this game. One more.
Another example of, high school recruiting. There was no great big emphasis when all of a sudden they said, wow, Notre Dame got Murphy. In his own state, he was ranked about 3rd or 4th best player.
There's Christine Murphy, a retired school teacher, now living in Scottsdale, as we said. Lane violation, so Murphy gets one more. Well, hard to imagine, Billy, that when he was coming out of high school, they ranked him, 90th out of 100 prospects?
Right.
Not a McDonald's All-American. You hear that phrase so much. He was not one. He played on the U.S. Select team in Hawaii this summer against the U.S. Olympic team. Also made another trip out there for Pete Newell's big man camp. and has become one of the better players in the country.
There again, the inexperience of Estel. Murphy doesn't get to the spot.
Blevins.
There's going to be a push, and there was a grab on the rim. Again, that ball I thought was in the cylinder.
Is this on Murphy? No. Yes.
Yeah, that's Murphy's fourth, and that basket actually should have counted. Now watch this. The ball is in the cylinder when Murphy pulls down on the rim. I'm mistaken on it. That was Daniels that pulled down the rim.
Now no choice for Mike Bray. Murphy will sit with his fourth foul.
Now, where does Notre Dame go to points? You know, you got to figure Carroll and Inglesby can team up a little bit. Graves is over on the bench with Murphy, so it's kind of tough.
2 of 2 for Eric Daniels.
And the press is on.
Troy Murphy, Player of the Year candidate, on the bench with 4 fouls and 12:05 remaining in the game. Here's Carroll. Humphrey in the low post calls for it. The double team. He kicks it out. Another turnover.
Good job by Hawkins. And there he is again, picking up the loose ball.
Kicks it outside. Prince for 3.
Inglesby does a smart thing here, slowing the game down, trying to keep it to a half-court set, steal some minutes till he can get Graves and Murphy back in there.
Nice baseline move, but the point-blank carom shot is missed by Jones. Here comes Hawkins. Tip, yes, Prince.
Now remember the timeouts that Mike Gray called in the first half. He may have to use some here to slow this tempo down.
Carroll for 3.
Not a good shot to take.
How about the putback?
I'll take that one. But not a good shot. They can't afford to put anything up. They've got to use up like 20 seconds each time down the floor.
Prince puts it up, pulls it back, then cans it.
And just the opposite is true for Kentucky. They want to turn this into a wild scramble basketball game.
Goaltending.
Pretty good looking block to me. Pretty good looking block. Prince came across that lane, blocked that one almost with his elbow.
Time call. Let's take a peek at the top 10 in play today. Stanford goes up against Oregon tonight.
That's a good win right there for Kansas, beating Oklahoma.
Tennessee 16-1. They defeat South Carolina. Michigan State plays this afternoon at home against Wisconsin. Wake Forest 13-1.
Georgia Tech, kind of a surprising team, beat Virginia the other night. Illinois wants to bounce back from their loss.
North Carolina playing very well, Bill.
That's 10 straight since they lost to Kentucky. And I'll tell you, there's a team now. Whoever thought there'd be a basketball power like a North Carolina that is augmented by 2 football players that really have changed their season around?
Ronald Curry and Julius Peppers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And now Peppers has made the commitment to stay in school. But that doesn't happen very often. But there are 2 outstanding young men that have added to that program greatly.
Now, those of you who don't know the story, he led the country in sacks as a defensive end for the Tar Heels football team last year, 15. And he has made a commitment to come back and play both football and basketball next year.
They don't give an award for this, but he is, to me, the most instinctively intelligent player that I've seen in college basketball. It's amazing to watch that young man perform.
Swanigan is on for Troy Murphy. Nice kiss off the glass.
Boy, Humphrey's having an outstanding game out here with his running mate Murphy having problems.
12 points for Ryan Humphrey. Here's Prince for 3 again. Nope. Rebound Inglesby. Senior point guard.
I thought that shot would go for Prince. Normally when he's moving forward and gets himself positioned, he buries that 3. It's when he's off balance and takes bad shots that he has problems.
Now coming up tomorrow, the AFC Championship game, Baltimore Ravens. Art Modell, what a moment this must be for the owner of the Ravens, having moved his team from Cleveland in '96 and now in the championship game, one step away from the Super Bowl, taking on the Oakland Raiders. And it begins with the NFL Today tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern Time.
Mike Bray wondering, Tubby, how long is that bench you've got down there? Just bringing in more and more good players. The only thing holding Kentucky back is their youth and inexperience. This is going to be a really fine basketball team by the end of the year. They've got a lot of weapons.
Started out 1-3. Here's Inglesby 4-3 off the front rim. And chased down by Eric Daniels. Now Bogans. Good 4-point game.
Very good decision by Daniels.
Beautiful touch.
That's going to be a push foul on the inside. You know, sometimes you give up not quite a good shot to get a much better shot. Daniels coming across the lane, and there's that soft touch that he has showed time and time again. Young kid's a scorer.
Another of the kiddie core here at Kentucky, Daniels, a freshman from Cincinnati. Hour and a half away.
Well, he made 20 of the first 23 field goals he attempted in his career. Now that's pretty fair.
7-point game, 9:23 to go.
You know, but Notre Dame not out of this thing. They're stealing some minutes, and now Mike Bray makes a move. Said, hey, you know, I can't win without Murphy in there. Even with 9 to go, and he's got 4 fouls. I got to come back with it.
Murphy down on the bench with 4 fouls for 3 minutes. Here's Humphrey. See what the clock shows for the next dead ball. Here comes Hawkins again. Nice dish, beautiful. And then Prince can't get the shot to go. On the floor, watch out. Bogans for 3.
Hawkins is the guy that went down there on the floor and broke that ball loose. Oh, that screen. No call. Hawkins could have really got hurt there.
The lead was 4, and now it's 10. After Bogans bombs from long range. With Paul Sorvino, Ellen Burstyn, and Heather Page Kent starring in an all-new episode of That's Life, followed by Chuck Norris and Walker, Texas Ranger. Then Craig T. Nelson in the new hit drama The District. That's the lineup tonight on CBS. Now Mike Bray angry during that timeout.
I missed it.
I did too.
In terms of why he was as angry as he was, but boy, he's hot. And I really thought, if anything, there that Hawkins coming off of that solid screen was the one that got hit, but Bray is still over there very, very.
He's chatting with Tim Higgins.
Well, he's doing a good thing. If you're talking to the referee, don't look at him. You know, when you look at him, that's when they throw that tee at you.
Here's Carroll off the pick. Got it. What a big play.
Now, with Murphy back in the ball game, 2 things that Notre Dame has to do. Number 1, he's got to not pick up that 5th, and they've got to get the ball to him some to stop this Kentucky movement.
Well, Jason Parker is working on him right now.
And Kentucky ought to let him touch it.
Prince feeds it to Hawkins, puts it up left-handed.
Murphy has to let him go. Well, Hawkins really has a nose for it, doesn't he? He penetrates, he slices in there.
Graves in and out. Prince rebound.
You notice Murphy not aggressively going for offensive rebounds either, which is one of the things he's so good at.
Bogans with the feed. Daniels with the basket. And Kentucky with its largest lead of the game.
Really a tough situation for Notre Dame here. Good block out by Parker. Do you see how he just kept Murphy completely off the boards? Daniels with that soft touch of his was back to the line.
Going for his 10th point.
Daniels, when he's guarded, is shooting 66%. When he's not, he's guarding 67%.
7:49 to go in the ball game, and Kentucky with its largest lead. And look at the bench points, 24-2. Billy, last time we saw this Kentucky team a month ago was Gerald Fitch. This time, Cliff Hawkins and Eric Daniels off the bench.
Well, I don't really think it makes any difference. And, maybe it's a misnomer to say bench points for Kentucky because basically, they've got 10 starters. And so the guys that don't get to start in a given game come in, and there's one right there. Hawkins give that tremendous lift. They're outscoring them, 24-2 bench points. Kentucky right on their average now. They get 24 bench points a game normally. Notre Dame getting 13, but that's a little bit of a misnomer. I think as they get deeper into Big East schedule, they'll get even fewer points off that bench, which is not a good thing for Mike Gray.
Here is Inglesby. And that one's saved by Hawkins again, and Prince. Here comes Hawkins. Kentucky going after its 6th victory in the row. But in each of the last 3, they have squandered double-digit leads. And it's come down to close victories.
Well, that again is inexperience. You get a little lead. You don't know how you got there. Then don't know how to keep it. You don't know how to build on it. But this is an extremely young team.
Happened for Tubby Smith's team against South Carolina. They wound up winning there here the other night, 69-63.
Well, there are 3, you've got 3 freshmen on the floor right now as an example. Hogan's a sophomore, Prince a junior.
Foul, free throws coming. Let's take a look at the CBS Sports Line stat of the game. And it's the aforementioned bench points.
Well, coming into this ball game, Vern, you had a situation in terms of not only the bench points, but Notre Dame for the year, 13 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 assists a game. Kentucky, 24 points, 12 rebounds a game for their bench points. So it's nothing unusual. Mike Gray knew that when he started.
For complete stats, go to cbs.sportsline.com.
But you can't fault this young man right here, Ryan Humphrey. Has had an outstanding game with the exception of that one. I've seen air balls, but not many that have come up 2 feet short for the guy that's having a great game.
Well, he can do nothing but laugh.
That one really doesn't even deserve air ball. That one is like, that should be slip ball.
The first time I've ever seen a guy have alligator arms on a free throw. He's such a good player. 2-time starter, 2-year starter at Oklahoma, in and out here. But his own teammates will be razzing him about that one. Prince. Nope. Humphrey, another rebound. He's got 13 rebounds today. His career high. That's a charging foul, blocking foul rather. Called on Eric Daniels.
Daniels really never had any defensive position, and that's why this is a block on his case. He never squared up, got in a defensive position. Fortunately, neither player got injured there ankle-wise. Graves is limping a little bit. Tubby Smith's son plays at Lexington Catholic.
That's right.
Where Graves played. I said before, they're lucky neither one of these guys got a real serious injury here. You can see how their ankles are all, boy, that is the kind that takes you a couple of weeks to come back from.
In and out, and a shove on Humphrey.
He just battling so hard for rebounding position. Now with 6:45, Inglesby's going to have to come back in with Murphy. Not only foul trouble, but they got to be really tired out there, particularly Humphrey.
That's the 10th on the team. And we mentioned this the 20th season. We've been on the road to the Final Four. It'll culminate this year in Minneapolis. And the second game of our doubleheader. Some of you will see Arkansas against Vanderbilt, another SEC contest. Others will watch Villanova go west to take on the UCLA team that had a big win the other night against USC.
They sure did. And what's really interesting, these are about the last games we'll be seeing in regard to these interconference matchups. From now on, most of the power conferences teams stay right to their own league. So it's the last chance to get an indication of Pac-10, Big East, in this particular case, Big East SEC.
Prince with 16 points gets the 2 free throws, a 14-point Kentucky lead against a Notre Dame team that is 9-4 and trying to get into the NCAAs this year for the first time since 1990.
Isn't it amazing that Mike Bray came from Delaware? Delaware was in 4 NCAA tournaments during that period of time, and Notre Dame in 0. He'll get it done there. We mentioned played at the math under the legendary Morgan Wooten, who also with CM went into the Basketball Hall of Fame, the first high school coach ever to do so. And then, of course, having an opportunity to work under Mike Krzyzewski. You can't have many better bloodlines than that.
Mike Bray with 8 years on the bench alongside Mike Krzyzewski. Was a candidate for the Notre Dame job when it went to Matt Doherty after John McLeod was let go. And unexpectedly got an opportunity this summer when Doherty decided to go back to his alma mater, North Carolina.
Well, Mogens missed an opportunity to get that ball to Parker. He had Murphy right on his hip.
Rebound Notre Dame. Here's Inglesby. Played every minute again today. He's done that 3 games already this year. Swanigan battles and will go to the free throw line.
Nice move by Swanigan inside on Parker.
Now here's what happened. Bill Guthridge electing not to return as head coach at North Carolina. Job opened up. Roy Williams said no, stayed at Kansas.
Well, we may sneak a little something in there with Roy Williams. Maybe it was right in between there a little bit, and the domino would have been a little different. But Roy decided to stay at Kansas, where he's having another great year.
Do you think, Billy, this is a Notre Dame team that made it to the NIT final against Wake Forest last year? All they've talked about is getting into the NCAAs. Are the expectations too great?
Well, I think when you take a look at the Big East, you know, this team obviously is not going to be a dominant club in the Big East. And, you know, are they 5 deep or are they 6 deep type league? It's going to be a struggle. It really is. You know, the Connecticuts, the Syracuses, the Georgetowns, the BCs. You know, a club like BC really throws everything kind of out of whack. St. John's, the team you can't throw away there. Seton Hall, pretty deep league.
Yes, it is. Under 6 to go. Prince keeps the dribble alive. Murphy playing with 4 fouls. Prince goes over Murphy, gets it.
Beautiful move by Prince. Fell to the floor and used the dribble so that he didn't walk. Nice heady play.
18 points, 11 in this half. Carroll puts it on the floor, kicks it to Inglesby for 3. Nope. Murphy.
Foul on Prince, and he got away with it. Murphy was able to score anyway. Prince had him hooked.
Lead is 11. 5:18 to go.
I'm really surprised Kentucky doesn't go inside and make Murphy guard somebody.
There's Stone in the lane. Murphy with a rebound.
You're giving him a day off right here now. You can't say, well, this game is in the bag. The guy's an All-American. The best place if you're Kentucky for Murphy is to put him on the bench.
Another double-double for Troy Murphy. He's got 11 rebounds now. Inglesby spots up for 3. Got it.
3-point basket by Inglesby.
Timeout Kentucky here to get reorganized, I think.
Not called yet by Tubby Smith, but an 8-2 Notre Dame run and memories of the last 3 games here during which double-digit leads evaporated. But
A great individual play will offset everything. Bogan's on a terrific turn.
Hawkins with a foul. Sunday on 60 Minutes, the FBI calls them terrorists. They call themselves environmentalists. Which are they? Watch 60 Minutes Sunday and decide for yourself.
Brent, we had CM on earlier. It's kind of interesting when you start thinking about Notre Dame, Kentucky. You don't think of great rivalry games, but you know, Kentucky in 1946 had one of Rupp's great teams. They were 28-2. They won the NIT. It was actually bigger than the NCAA during those days. Right. Notre Dame came in here and beat him. Came back in 48 with the great team that he had with his Fab 5 team. grows it in Beard. They won the NCAA that year, only had 3 losses, one of them to Notre Dame. Notre Dame comes back here in 1950 with Bill Spivey and the great Kentucky team. Notre Dame beats them again. So he beats Rupp 46, 48, and 50 with 3 of the greatest teams that Kentucky ever had. So the rivalry was something back in the days before TV.
Ironically, many of the games in the rivalry, and this is the 55th time they have played, were played in Louisville, more or less neutral site. This is only the 6th time the two teams have played in Lexington. There's Estill going up, and a foul is called on Bogans, charging.
It was a great idea by Bogans, but no place to go because the zone is packed down in here. Now, here's what Kentucky has had a problem with the last few games, as you said. Getting a lead and not knowing how to finish a team off. Now, the fans didn't like it. They have a replay here in this arena. And so the fans get an opportunity to see those kind of plays, and I don't think very often they cheer a referee's decision if it doesn't go the Big Blues' way.
Swanigan takes every bit of the rim and knocks it through, and the lead is 7 now with
a lot of time left for Notre Dame. Got a chance to rest Humphrey a little bit.
Got them both. Fighting Irish have shaved the lead to 6 with time called.
He's sponsored by Salomon Smith Barney. See how we earn it. IBM, taking e-business and your business to the next level. And by the United States Marine Corps, the change is forever.
3 minutes and 54 seconds to go in regulation. What had been a 14-point Kentucky lead carved down to 6 now. And team fouls, both teams in the double bonus. In any sense, is Tubby Smith making reference to the problems they've had in holding on to late game leads?
Well, I think a lot of it, Vern, it goes back to the inexperience factor. Now, if you're really thinking out there on the floor, and there's just so much a coach can do in translating that while you're out there playing, but, you know, you have to recognize as a player, Troy Murphy's an All-American. This guy can light us up over a period of, 2-3 minutes in a game. He's got 4 fouls. He's not guarding anybody. Don't ever bring the ball over half court without making Troy Murphy have to stop something. There you see a situation. Estill's wide open inside.
Yep.
Never touches the ball.
Bogans passed on the entry pass.
You've got to make Murphy guard somebody.
Now here's Estill backing him down again.
There he is.
They kick it back outside.
Not bad.
There you go.
Sure. You get it inside. He's not going to guard anybody. Work on him. If it's not there, pass it out for a wide open shot.
Fitch has 9.
This game is not brain surgery.
Inglesby, nice move.
Made that over Fitch, who was anticipating the block from behind.
Now here's Saul Smith.
See, Estill needs to go get himself posted back up again. There he is, and gets fouled.
See who they got. Swanigan called for the foul. Reminder that we'll have a doubleheader for you today. Arkansas at Vanderbilt or Villanova at UCLA. The second game on this road to the Final Four, our 20th season of covering competition till the NCAA champion is crowned.
And there's Arkansas, a team that a lot of people thought could come out of the box very strong this year. Finds themselves with 2 losses in the league, having to go up and play at Vanderbilt. This is a very balanced league. We talked about the Big East, but the SEC is incredibly balanced. And particularly, you have Tennessee up there that everybody knew and expected to be extremely strong this year with their depth and talent and experience. Had Florida not had the guys leave early, you'd have to put them in that kind of category too. But now you see the Mississippis, Mississippi States, Alabamas, everybody making a run. So it'll be a very balanced league.
Matt Carroll brings it back outside. Inglesby with 12 points all in this half, and he is not that much of a scoring threat. Now Murphy battles in the low post with Stone. That three-pointer not there. Murphy again has to be very careful as he goes up.
Well, he did get pretty aggressive on that particular play, but good job by Stone, good hands.
Stone holds on to it.
Takes a quick shot.
2.5 to go.
Murphy and Stone battling down in the low post.
Graves looks for Swanigan.
He just backed Estill right down underneath the basket. Nice job by Notre Dame hanging in here.
2 minutes and 19 seconds left. Margin is 7. We'll go to the second game of our NCAA basketball doubleheader shortly. Arkansas at Vanderbilt or Villanova at UCLA as we continue on our 20th road to the Final Four. 73-66 with 2:19 to go, and significantly Notre Dame out of timeouts.
Well, one of the things, if you're Notre Dame, obviously it's very difficult for you to score off your defense, but they do have to get some solid stops here. And if you're Kentucky, occupy the ball a little bit, use some of this clock, get it inside and pump out, looking for some wide open jumpers.
Prince, Smith, Fitch, Bogans, and Estill on the floor for Kentucky.
Smith needs to be careful with Inglesby on him like that. Almost turned it over.
Swanigan fronts Estill. Got Murphy over on Prince.
No need to take a quick shot here.
Estill, nope. Swanigan gets the rebound for Notre Dame.
Big possession for Notre Dame. Got Graves and Carroll on the wings. Penetration kick out, looking for a three.
Murphy calls for it, gets it up, got it.
Beautiful setup by Notre Dame. Mike Brey wanting his team to pick up quicker.
5-point margin with 90 seconds to go.
Young teams make things interesting for their coach, don't they? And one of the things Saul Smith ought to do, he's got Inglesby on him and he's challenged him with the dribble. If he's smart to just pass it off to somebody else who can bring it up the court, don't take a chance on getting a steal.
1:27 remaining.
That fella right there, Tubby Smith, has a better record starting off than everybody that's ever coached at Kentucky, with the exception of the fabled Adolph Rupp. Better than Pitino. Better than Eddie Sutton.
Rupp here for all those years, followed by Joe B. Hall, then Eddie Sutton.
Talked to Wawa Jones, as I mentioned before, before the start of this game. You know, he played for Adolph Rupp, which is something to say in your lifetime. Hey, I played for Adolph Rupp. You know who else he played for? A football coach by the name of what? Paul Bear Bryant. Now, what a combo that is. I said, what did those two guys have in common? He said, discipline. You knew when they spoke what they were talking about.
Here comes Matt Carroll being chased from behind by Saul Smith.
Boy, if you're Smith, you do not want to foul now.
Graves up and under, no. Into the hands of Fitch for Kentucky. And Inglesby draws the foul.
Well, Kentucky started this ball game down 14-4. Had a chance to put the game away, but again, as a young team, they're just going to have to learn how to do that.
You know, you talk about the great legends here, and Ralph Hacker has been a part of the broadcasting crew working with Sam Bowie. Ralph in his 9th season as the play-by-play man. Before that, for 19 years, he was the sidekick of one of the legends in our business, Kaywood Ledford, who for 39 years, from 53 to 92, was the radio voice of the Kentucky Wildcats. Kaywood Ledford battling cancer now. We just want to wish him the best. Always watching. His last game, Billy, as a broadcaster for 39 years, was the classic Duke, Kentucky, 104-103. There's another rebound. And 1 minute remaining. The executive producer of CBS Sports is Terry Ebert, the coordinating producer of NCAA basketball, Bob Dekas. Today's game directed by Mark Grant at the half, produced by Eric Mann, and directed by Bob Matina. The coordinating producer of CBS Sports, Harold Bryant. The associate director of today's game, Steve Karasik. Broadcast associates, Jeff St. Aramand and Paul Shaver. And the technical manager, Doug Fleetum. Working alongside, as always, Santa Monica Chuck Gardner.
Well, Kentucky, with those tough, close losses that they had earlier in the ball game, now starting to build this record up. Find themselves, they're undefeated in the SEC. Good solid win against a major Big East opponent today.
Graves punctuates his return trip to his hometown with that three. 78-71.
Notre Dame, only thing they can do right now is to foul, stop that clock.
Carroll, that's his fourth.
Fourth foul on Matt Carroll. Been a tough year for Tubby Smith. Tough year because they started 1-3.
Yeah, and you know, Tubby gave up considerable time in the last 2 summers working in the Olympic movement. Of course, assistant coach for the Olympic team this year, gold medal. Coaches do not get a medal, by the way, to coach an Olympic team. But that was a long, long trying summer for him.
He had some interesting comments about the experience and dealing with these young professional athletes for the most part.
Yeah, playing time being one of them, even on an Olympic team.
Here's Graves.
Good aggressive play, not wanting to give up a three-point shot. You can see Kentucky is basically playing perimeter defense now, allowing the ball to go inside. And pretty good defense it was. Tubby liked that.
This will be the 6th win in succession after the 1-point loss at Michigan State. They had a huge win on the road against North Carolina. But Billy, if you can ever forge something out of a loss, I believe this young team did find something out about themselves, losing by 1 in East Lansing.
Yeah, I would agree with that because not only playing at Michigan State's court, but when you go against Michigan State, with the exception now, and for Tom Izzo, I have never seen his team play the way they did at Indiana. This is not to take anything away from Indiana. It was a big win for them. But that was not the Michigan State fire that you normally see.
Carroll, nope. Bogans tips it to Stone.
No need to foul here. No. Mike Bray signals him off and said, let this one go.
Notre Dame falls to 9-5, lose their 2nd in a row. The Kentucky kids win number 6 in succession, and they have a big game at home here Tuesday night against Tennessee.
It doesn't get any bigger than that in the SEC.
Chevrolet most valuable players of the game. Ryan Humphrey from Notre Dame and Tayshaun Prince from Kentucky. Chevrolet will make a contribution to each school's general scholarship fund to reward outstanding students for their academic achievements and to assist those in financial need. So for Billy Packer, I'm Vern Lundquist saying so long from Kentucky, where the Wildcats defeat Notre Dame 82-71. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports, home of the Men's NCAA Championship.